Right, the series about the series, with the series 200 TDI series. Just been editing up the videos and realised I haven't actually shown what this thing looks like. Now it's all in. So there you can see the plate I made up. Rattle canned it, bit of hammerite, boxed the frame of the radiator in. It's mounted at the bottom. That is as solid as anything. It's going nowhere. The bottom hose, Finar, I've been told I've not been putting enough Finars in. It's no longer kinked, and it's got the stub here to come up towards the expansion bottle, which I'm going to mount in next. I've been putting the headlights in. So these are the kind of the ones I've been putting on the Range Rovers as well, but they've got the kind of the flat front to them. Nice actually, metal Lucas bowls, and they are. So there's the box for the bowls, metal bowls, lovely. They're coming like this McDonald's rapid. Look, you open it up, you expect to find a burger. I'm hungry now. The headlights are these ones here. So they are RTM 8014 7-inch complex surface headlamp, and these are right-hand drive. Obviously, if you're going left-hand drive, you need to make sure you're left-hand drive, E-approved, etc., etc., etc. So the surfaces are going to be more resistant to dirt sticking to them, but also they've got the little pilot bulb in there, which means if we connect up the battery, our battery's connected. Right, listen to the door. Shuts nicely, doesn't it? Right. Flick the sideys on. That. What do you think? It's quite smart, that, doesn't it? Just gives it a little bit more visibility when you're in your Land Rover, going down a lane, and the dip beam. The battery's a little bit on the flat side at the moment, so the dip beam is a little bit orangey. But yeah, then you've got the dip beam. The full beam works beautifully. So my next job's ready for today. I'll turn these lights off. My next job's ready for today are to get this thing a step closer. I've put the bump stops on the front hubs. I've filled the hubs with oil and it all fell out. Worse on one side than it was on the other. So I took it all apart, and then I've used this stuff. So it's an RTV clear silicon sealant. I know it's silicon, but it's actually designed as a gasket rather than to stop water leaking out of your shower at home. So I smeared that all around the outside of the sweep seal. Put them back together again, and it stopped dripping, which is good news. Customer sent over a couple of splash shields, but to my mind they seem to be Defender and not Series 3, so they ain't fitting. Which is a pain. Right, now, the last thing really to do with this, well, there's two more jobs to do with the Steve Parker install. Let me get the tripod, then I can actually move things around. Right, there we go. Let's see. So I'm going to put this air filter unit in. Now, it's suggested that you bolt it to the inner wing, but these inner wings have been modified fairly extensively, so it's not going to bolt to the inner wing. And also, if I did bolt it to the inner wing, then I would find myself obscuring somewhat the dipstick. So I kind of put one end of the pipe in. There's the bit as it's kind of fitted. So really, all I'm planning on doing is making a bracket up that goes from the inner wing over here, and really just supports it. It might even end up resting on top of the intake. Will it bolt up there, I wonder? I'm not going to undo head bolts, folks, and I don't really want to drill holes anywhere, but I want some way of mounting this on the top up here, and I think that is probably going to be something along those sort of lines, because it's clear of the heater box over here. I don't even know if you can see. Can you see? I need a director really. Come over here. It's got rubber feet on this tripod, so you're not going to damage anything. And we go down onto it. Right, so basically there we are. You can see heater box, air filter. So I need to find some way of just mounting this air filter up so that it clears the dipstick, which is down here. But also, does it need to be rigidly mounted to the body or to the engine? $64 million question. I don't know, is the honest answer. I'll work out something. That's the vacuum there for the turbo by the looks of things. It's loose, must be loose because it's not, that's the end that goes onto the end, so I'm going to need to put that in before I put the air filter in as well. Yeah, there's a bit of thought required there really, and I could actually bolt it off the inner wing here, or I could make a bracket that comes up from the steering housing down here, but because it's all been modified, it's a bit difficult really to work out exactly how it's going to go. I don't really want to mount it onto the turbo housing because I think it's going to be too much weight on that, and it's just going to end up breaking. So my inclination is to protect everything around the exhaust manifold and so forth, is to bolt it up to a bracket that I fix onto the inner wing here and deal with it that way. And I think that's going to be the easiest way of doing it. I've got some brackets that I'm painting at the moment, but basically got the fan roughly in the right sort of position. So mounted it to the wing there. I'm going to mount it to the side of the heater box. It's forward of the matrix, and the way I'm mounting it will allow me to take the end plate off in order to get the filter out. Expansion bottle is mounted in place. I just need to, I've got a bracket that I'm painting over here that's going to go on there. So that's all that done. And then next I thought, right, we need to sort this electric fan controller out. So let's go and have a look at the electric fan controller. Yes, I've tidied my desk up especially for this. So this kit, I think this is just basically provided by clank, 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 clank. So this kit seems to be fairly comprehensive for the 200 TDI installation. Comes with a great load of wires attached to the back of a relay with a warranty void if removed, apparently. It's a fucking relay, but never mind. I shall leave that in place. Got some brake ties, a bit of black wire, some whatever that is, heat insulation, a couple of Jubilee clips, and some speed terminals. Oh, a nice little connector there for the fan, which is quite nice, isn't it? It's probably what the black wire there is for. Little screwdriver there for adjusting the adjuster on the controller. Look at that. Sweet. Nice. Does it turn? It does turn. Oh, yes. Nicely done. Right, so what do the instructions say? That's my top hose there, which I've just taken off the car. Let's get all this enormous lengths of wire out of the way. So the instructions say, here we are. It says, installation. Before making any alterations to your system, ensure that the revotec controller is of the correct size. Not actually done that. Let's check it actually fits inside this. Well, it's a bit on the small side. I mean, I suppose once you put a clamp around there, but I'd expect that to be tighter in there. In that top hose. We'll come back to that. There is sufficient straight hose to fit a full length of the, whatever that is, EFC. What's the EFC? The fan control module. EFC, fan control module. Someone's got dyslexia, haven't they? That's what OCD stands for, National Association for Dyslexia. Sorry for any dyslexics out there. The EFC will need to be in constant contact with the coolant, partially drain the cooling system, blah de blah de blah. Remove 20 millimeters of hose section at the point where you want the controller. Clamp the controller in using the hose clips. Great. Top up the coolant, check for leaks. Okay. So let's go back over to the engine bay. Let's pop you up there. Great. I've got the top hose goes in. To be honest, this top hose is a bit on the loose side on everything. Now, one thing that I am a bit disappointed about with this kit, and that is basically the intercooler pipes have gone in here. They've gone in exactly onto the engine. They're exactly where they should be. And yet the hose is rammed up right against the intercooler pipe. You can see it's been crushed there by the intercooler pipe. So I think when this thing does go on, I'm going to chop it about where the Made in England sticker is. Change the pipe around, because really I want this to come off here and go straight in. I wonder if it's any better that way round. No, it's even worse. It's even worse. So it has to go that way round. So basically, I think if I were to, I'll tell you what, if I was to shorten the hose on the far end, so basically to take an inch off there, that's going to then give me the clearance off the intercooler hose that I need. I wonder. Just double check these measurements. So if that goes onto there, yeah, because I can basically take that much off this hose. It's still going to reach the thermostat. So before we do that, let's cut the hose in half, because I want the fan controller to be roughly in the middle of it. And this hose is going to have a certain amount of give in it, because the guys at Steve Parker are really not going to know where you're going to mount your radiator. They've got no idea. But I would have thought that this pipe, because between the thermostat outlet and the intercooler inlet is going to be a fixed distance. So perhaps I will just chop an inch off this thing to bring it back here. Later. I'll pop that on there now. Right, now we are better clearing the intercooler pipe. It's not actually crushing the inlet pipe as much. The other thing that was disappointing, by the way, is I tightened up the bolts for the thermostat housing, and whichever ham-fisted gibbon had put the series thermostat and everything in there, I don't know what they've done. But anyway, the threads are dead, so I've had to order myself an M6 helicoil set. Told you I'm a ham-fisted gibbon. The pipe is wider at the ends than it is in the middle. What an idiot! Right. So what I'm going to do next is I need to chop a piece off this pipe. It says 20 mil, doesn't it? 20 mil off this pipe. And then when I've done that, I can strap it up. So let's get a bit of masking tape. It's easy when you look at it. When you look at that end, it's wider than that end. So this is why it's specially made. I thought, specially made? What's special about it? It's wider at the ends than it is in the middle. Now, put it on there. A nice snug fit. Put the other end on it. It's like a dick in a bucket. You with me? You're with me. Of course you are. Of course you are. Right. 20 mil. Do. Oh, gibbon. Tidy that end up there. Take off, pipe on, nice satisfying clunk, clip on, go and line it all up again. Okie dokie. Now, push you on there, and then we push you onto there, and we're going to fit. You are. Oh, that fits beautifully as well. Right, on the instructions, it basically says, so we're below the top level of the radiator, way below the expansion bottle, so we should be okay where we are there. Mount the relay in a suitable position, protected from the elements, ensuring there'll be no strain on any of the wiring. That's how much wiring I've got. Where do you want me to put it? Exactly. Anywhere in particular? Earth cable can come separate. Where would you like me to put it? Why is this blue and red cable not the same length as the earth cable? Fucking thing. Right, so what I'm going to do, I think, is I am going to cut the wires, the red and white wires that come off the back of the controller, and I'm going to splice in additional red and white wires, sorry, red and blue wires. I'm going to mount this up on the bulkhead. And the problem you've got with a series vehicle, well, you've got a big hole there. Let's get this so we can actually see what's going on. Got a bloody great hole there. Well, see through to the back of the world. You've got big holes around here. There will be a splash panel in here when I fix it, but there we are. There's the ground there. There's the ground there. There's a whacking great big hole down here, which I need to work out what I'm going to do with. So really, the most sensible place I can think of putting this is up here or inside there. Which then means that I need to extend the wiring somewhat. And it's easy enough to do it because I've got the loom here. That really will not be difficult to extend this loom and bind it and run it around the engine up to over there. So I think that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to stop gabbing on about it. Got the butt clamps, butt crimps. Richard, you're so bad. And then what I've basically done is I cut the heat insulation back from the original controller, put new heat insulation over the top of it. I've got the earth wire still here that needs to come out. Let me just get this so that it goes over my repair, which it does. Come on, you fucker. Pull the sock back up and over the bit that I've repaired here. There we go. Look at that. Oops. And then once that's in place, then remelt the heat insulation, the new bit that I put on there. There we go. Looks pretty good, doesn't it? Looks like even I've not even, well, it doesn't look like I've been here. Right. So now we need to connect up the other electric. So the relay's over there. So as I understand, the blue wire needs to connect up to the positive on the radiator, which I'm going to poke out through here, so it can follow the line of the loom, which really isn't too much of a problem over here. Get this fucking breather pipe up there. It's the last bit of blue on here, really, I think, to be honest. It's a vacuum pipe. Well, it probably isn't a vacuum pipe, but it should be a vacuum pipe. What I really need to do here is create a connection. Will that go in there? Not just about. That'll work. Just confirm blue. Blue wire, positive supply of the fan motor. And red needs to go to a 12-volt supply. So the red's going to go into the car somewhere. Blue needs to come down to the front of the car. It's going to follow its way down the loom all the way to the front. So I need to connect that on. I've got some chunky blue wire here. I don't know what strength this is. It's a 30 amp relay, so you'd like to think it's going to be 30 amp wire, wouldn't you? There's a fair few strands there, which is an accurate way of actually kind of counting the number of strands that you've got. It's a fair few. A fair few is a good way of counting them. Heat shrink. Double heat shrinked. Should keep moisture out, shouldn't it? Right. Now I'm going to put a spade terminal on the end of this so that I can connect it up to the terminal, which is here. It's going to need to be about that long, I reckon. Go. Carry on with that. I'll come back to you. Well, I'm quite pleased with that. So, get up on the ladder so you can see. Mounted it directly onto the inner wing there, and then used the plate that was supplied to fix it onto the side of the heater box. So the matrix is a lot further in than the fixing. Yeah, I think that'll do it. Still need to put the Jubilee clip on. Another step. As far as the fan controller is concerned, there's the connector down there. Bound the loom in, so it goes at the main part of the loom, and there's the relay up there. So I've got the blue wire. All I really need to finish up is the red wire that goes to the ignition controlled circuit. And then over here, I'm going to need to provide an earth for the controller. Just strap it onto the top of the thermostat housing or something. It'll go somewhere. Quite neat. Yeah. I think once I got there with that, it was okay. Now I still need to put the big breather pipe that goes across. It's not here at the moment. It's completely missing. I don't even know where the damn thing is. It's probably still attached to the old pipe work, which is over here. I have no doubt it'll be a fucking horrible piece of blue. But, yeah, we'll see. But yeah, it's starting to look a little bit more like it's supposed to be in there, really. Ish. No, honestly, it's the kit that comes is very good. I was talking to him earlier on today because I thought I had the problem with the hose here, and then I realised I'm actually a ham-fisted gibbon. And they did suggest that they are making some modifications to the setup, and they're kind of using quite a big chunk of the 300 TDI, I believe 300 TDI conversion for the 200 TDI. But yes. Right, I think for now though, it is some obscene hour. It's gone dark outside. There we are, 10 to 7, I'm going home. Now, in other news, what I'm going to be doing is sorting out this shield. This is the mud shield. Let me just position Dale's light as it's known. And basically, we're looking up underneath the wheel arch, and you can see up here, along this area, the rib that should be on the other side of these spot welds here is completely missing. So, the wing was clean, by the way, before I slid that across. Completely missing. So I'm thinking, oh God, how am I going to do this? That's how I'm going to do this. Fashion this out so that bolts on the underside of the inner wing from one side to the other. So it's going to act as a brace between the inner and the outer wing. Should stiffen things up a little bit. It's going onto existing bolt holes, and then it will give me the positioning I need to bolt that splash plate into place. Yes. Oh yes. And then puncture fixed on last of the wheels. You notice the wheels on. You might not have noticed. Behind all those big Doug boxes, that wasn't a donation. That's my new racking that I'm going to have for nuts and bolts. But Wolf wheels, what do you think? I mean, it's certainly got stance. I think the tyres, for me, it seems a bit over-tied now rather than under-tied. It looked under-tied before, and now it looks over-tied. But then, I'm just not used to it. If it was on a 109, it probably would look better, but the customer loves them. And they're nice wheels. Nicely restored. Trouble is, big problem you're going to have with a tyre of this sort of size is the sheer amount of weight that needs to go on the inside of it. Now, it did strap, because I had to get the inner tube changed, strapped a ton of weight down here. But they just couldn't get it to balance. And there was a ton of weight on it before, and it's the tyre. So we've got it down to as close as we're going to get it. But bearing in mind, this thing is not going to be doing 85 miles an hour at the motorway. It's unlikely you're going to really notice significant wheel vibration. Done the washer bottle. The best place, the easiest place I could find this was actually standing on top of the splash guard. So basically what I've done here is I've put a couple of bolts through the bottom of the mounting plate. This is a very nice little water bottle kit here. Customer bought it, supplied it. Come from Tudor, came with a pump, all the pipe, everything. So I've hooked that up, mounted the pump on the edge of the inner wing. Sorry, outer wing, I should say. It's the outer wing, Richard. Yeah, so that's all in and secure. And I've been going around really just sorting all the electrics out. I've wired up the electric fan now, so that goes to the back of the fuse board. I took the bonnet catch off because I wasn't happy with it, and then look at that. Looks like they didn't bother taking it off before they painted it. Never mind, I can sort that out. Really is not a problem. I've been round, tidied up where the glass repair took place, fixed this door so it actually opens easier than it did before, and that was really down to putting the correct fixings onto the door. So it's got these kind of captive plates which are still available, but for some reason nuts and bolts have gone in there which were too big. There are a couple of things that I struggled with. Let me just shut that again, slam around the other side. So I need to fit a battery isolator, but one of the problems that I've got here, if I pull the seat out, is I haven't got the metal plate that goes underneath the seat. And on top of that, I'm not convinced that the metal plate that goes under the seat is going to clear the battery. It's a big day. I'm going to see if I can start this thing up. Now, there's been a couple of aborted attempts already, and I thought, probably should video this. So it hasn't started yet, but basically the feed that goes to the injector pump, the cut-off feed, had no voltage to it. Don't know. Couldn't be asked to trace it back through the loom to work out where it was disconnected. So I had a good look behind the dash, all the white wires, they all appeared to have 12 volts. So I just made a new feed for the injector pump cut-off. So that's now getting the ignition control 12 volt feed. I have primed the fuel system as best I can by hand. There is certainly fuel coming through the pipe, a dribble of fuel coming through the pipe where it goes into the injector pump. So I think really now I'm going to crank this thing over. Before I do that, however, come with me. So I'm charging the battery up. And the reason I'm charging the battery up is because it's a 60 amp hour battery, folks. Yeah, it's not really kind of what you need for a 200 TDI. We'll give it a go. That's why I'm sort of giving it a real boost here on the old start and charge. I don't really want to lean on the start and charge. There should be enough voltage in the battery to turn it over. But general consensus, I would have thought, would be around the 80 to 90 amp hours minimum for a diesel. Now, I've got no, put my teeth in, I've got no glow plug. There's no glow plug timer on this thing. So it might start, it might not. Just want to tighten this battery up. Otherwise the terminals get a little bit on the warm side. It's not fully. And then the other problem I had was I had a cross wire on the headlights, so the headlights weren't behaving themselves properly when the ignition was on. There was a dodgy earth. I fixed all of those things. So, where are we? Now, I think you can watch from up there. I think you can watch from over here. Can you see? Can you see? Let's just get you so you can see me as well. Is it going to fucking start? Wish me luck. I'm pretty sure that everything is as it should be. Right. Leave the last bit there after that. Nice. Fucking hell. Come out here for a minute. Yeah, it runs. The alternator charge light is on. The clutch works. It is fucking noisy in here though. Idle speed needs lifting a little bit. It's not quiet. Look, charge light's on. Let's turn you off for a minute. Charge light's on, and also we've got a low fuel warning light on. But other than that, that's a goer. Fucking hell. Yeah, I mean, I come out here, I don't want to breathe all that shit. Yes, I think when the wheels come back for this later on, I'll get this out. I'll go for a ride on the block, I think. See what it's like. Oh, I'm impressed. That was dead easy to start at the end. After all the faffing around, getting it primed and so forth. Now, there is a leak at the top here somewhere, because the top of this filter is wet. So I'm just going to go over and check all the connections on that. I mean, you can see the hoses are 1,000 years old. There's one blue hose over here still. It will get changed. Yeah. It's better than a kick in the face, isn't it? Just.